Could I ask Brian Haley to sort of...
He's stolen a bit of my thunder. I can't really say that I can speak for every ethnic minority out there. So, but I have read the report, and I'll give you my views, and I think some of the views in this room, and I'm happy to take questions afterwards. Has anyone ever seen the programme that's running on Channel 4 called Love Thy Neighbour? It's run in Yorkshire. It's actually in a village in Yorkshire where Channel 4 have bought a fabulous cottage, and it's a programme in social engineering. This village recognises it needs to change. It needs to have younger people involved because they're all getting older, dying out. Beautiful community. So what Channel 4 have done, have introduced the first programme. They had a white couple, children, he was a carpenter, and a black couple, funny enough, prospective parliamentary candidate for the Tory party, was a black candidate with a black family. And they sent them into this village. And the idea was, and it's still running, so you can still watch it, and you can catch it up on, I think it's 4i. What the experiment is about acceptance. It's about getting over those stereotypes. Because through the 3 days, and what happens is one family has the cottage for a week, and the other couple go to B&B, and then it's changed, swaps around. So they get an idea of what it would be like to live in this rural village. And they have to spend their time convincing the locals that they are the right candidate to live in that village. And it's a fascinating, I do recommend it, it's a fascinating insight into what we're trying to do here at the Liberal Democrats. This week...
Perhaps they should make a film of us.
I think they should. This week they had a single mother who does life portraits for a living, and a lesbian couple who are going through IVF. Again, incredibly challenging issues for a small village in Yorkshire to deal with. And at the end, I'll let you think on those. And at the end, I'll ask you, who do you think won out in those two sections at the end of this debate, if you still remember? But coming on to Sel's report, can I say I've looked through the report. I think it's a nice piece of work. It's in terms of, it's a lovely bit of bureaucracy that we're all going to have to follow. I think it's over bureaucratic. In terms of trying to get through the process. I'm not a great fan of the whole email thing. I see by the diversity champions, a lot of it can be done via email, which means there's no direct contact. That means, for me, direct contact says a lot. You can actually do a lot with people on the doorstep with that direct contact. In terms of their, and I appreciate a lot of its details are going to be, in the meat on the bone is going to be the detail, isn't it, really? In terms of what are the diversity champions actually going to do? Right. Are they going to be at a regional office phoning local CLPs and saying, how many ethnic minorities have you got in this week? And we've got to get a target of 10 or 15 this week. You've got to go out there and recruit them. All done by email, totally impersonal. Totally, I feel, impersonal in terms of having that effect of, we're all in this together, to quote a phrase. I think we do need to actually be out there on the doorstep. When I knock on a door, the first thing they say is, well, there aren't enough of you in the party, so why should I vote for your party? Now, it's great. We can convince them on the policies and where we are and why we stand there, and why I am, personally, why I joined the Liberal Democrats. But nationally, we do not have that representation. We heard that the parliamentary party, if you look at that, it doesn't reflect us. But the federal executive doesn't either. And if you see party conference, you see the pictures of all the federal executives. So there is a long way to go. I still think there's a long way to go in terms of changing the culture. I think what Sel's done is a great piece of work. I think she's followed through the process. Again, in that cultural line, which is we will do things this way. And I think there should have been a bit more sort of an open debate, an open discussion. I know emails were sent out asking people for their views, but some people react better if you actually approach them. Yes. The EMLD is mentioned once in the whole report, and there was tension at the last meeting, where at the last conference, where people were very tense, and it took a lot of courage by the EMLD to come up with that motion and put it to the group, and not want to be a separate entity that says we should have special reasons for us to be MPs, MEPs and selected candidates. I don't agree with that at all. because I think that backfires even worse on ethnic minorities if you have these specialist lists. You've seen it, I've seen it. This week alone, Shadow Minister for, I shouldn't say this on camera, Shadow Minister for International Affairs was on her feet, very poor. Lovely, very poor, discussing the women's debate. Very poor. Lynn, you were there, you were sitting opposite her. You were. She was very poor. And what I would hate to see is for us to put specialist lists together where we have candidates up because we feel it's the right thing to do. I think candidates should be there on merit. I think candidates should be there on their skills. I actually don't think I'll be one of those candidates because I'm actually dyslexic, which makes it even worse. I can't even speak at conference because I can't fill out the forms. And my MP, Lynn, is Minister for Equalities. I'm not told her about this. So it makes it doubly difficult. But I would say it is a start. The party does recognise this is an issue. It is quite embarrassing for all ethnic minorities, all of you out there, when you knock on a door and they don't even talk about tuition fees. The first thing they'll say to you, because we're all sort of, knocking on doors in our areas, well, how come there aren't any of you lot in there then? You're all the foot soldiers, you're the cannon fodder. Well, no, it's time to change. The party recognise that, and I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for that. We will work within the system set out here. I think the system has some way to go. I don't think the bureaucracy is a good thing. I think we can do a lot better than that. But I think opportunity is the one thing that is missing out of all this. But I will give you last bit, and I'll finish on this bit. And I was going to finish with a quote, but yes, I will finish with a quote actually. Those who criticise change the world. Those who don't criticise change nothing. So thank you very much, and I hope to take your questions.